And welcome back. So we're at that time of the year, at least as far as I'm concerned, as I'm going through social media and the like, when we get to the thing about what's your favorite Christmas movie? It's Die Hard. And I am legitimately not trying to knock people for whom that is a part of their holiday traditions. I'm really not. If that's what you like, I watch Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, and my family watches the Doris Day Show Christmas episodes, which are awful in the most belovedly wonderful way. So I'm legitimately not knocking, people who think Die Hard is a Christmas movie. There's only two things I find fault with. There's only two things that kind of irritate me. Three, actually, if I'm going to be picky. Number one is that all of them tell the joke like they're the first one to tell it. It's kind of like when you're a wrestling fan and people just delight in telling you it's fake, like you're the first person to ever point this out. Second, as I mentioned in my review of it, I often find it weird that people go Die Hard as their favorite Christmas movie when, in fact, Die Hard 2 is more Christmas themed than the original. So I feel that's the better Christmas movie. Die Hard may be the better movie, but Die Hard 2 is the better Christmas movie. And three, it's that when you're saying things like that, you're kind of discounting some of these wonderfully unique and forgotten Christmas films that are out there. It's like, why haven't you seen this? And by this, I, of course, mean Arthur Christmas. Have you not seen Arthur Christmas? And it's amazing to me, even now, I think the internet has helped it a little bit. It was featured on a couple Nostalgia Critic episodes a few years ago. That's how I heard of it, before the Nostalgia Critic kind of took a nosedive for me. But anyway, sorry. I think it's gotten a little bit of a second life. But it's still astonishing to me just how many people, with all of these holiday movies, there seem to be three categories. There's the classics, the ones everybody knows. There's the new kind of category, the schmaltzy but fun, those are the Hallmark films. And then there are ones like this that have just kind of slipped through the cracks and nobody acknowledges them anymore, or at all. And that's always been one of the things when I was allowed to go to the movies that Drive Home Reviews kind of took great pride in, that I looked at films that nobody else was reviewing. And I really want to talk about this movie because I think this movie is unbelievably wonderful. I think this is one of the last great Christmas movies. And nobody really knows about it. Not a lot of people acknowledge it. And I know I don't get a lot of views, understatement of the year, but maybe the few people who do, if you've never seen this movie, maybe after this review, maybe you'll go pick it up and give it a shot. So Arthur Christmas, an animated film, I think from 2011 is I believe when it came out. I remember seeing like a very brief trailer for it, and I wasn't going to the movies a lot at the time, and I just, it went over my head. I forgot about it, and then it wasn't until many years later when I watched it and just fell in love with it. So what is the story of this lovely little animated film? So this film focuses on the Santa Claus family. So you have you have Santa Claus, who is played by Jim Broadbent. That's Professor Slughorn, for those of you who don't know who Jim Broadbent is. So Professor Slughorn is Santa Claus, and he's the latest in a long line. The way this movie's mythology works, it's that Santa Claus is a title that is kind of passed down from father to son, with this unwritten rule that a Santa Claus will be Santa Claus for 70 years, do 70 Christmases, and then pass the torch on to their son. So this Santa Claus this is his 70th 70th. They call them missions. There's a wonderful military kind of feel to the whole film. This wonderful, they call them missions, they call the elves soldiers. There's a very, military operation feel to the whole thing. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So it's kind of assumed that at the end of this Christmas, Professor Slughorn is going to turn the title of Santa Claus over to his eldest son, Steve, played by Hugh Laurie. However, Santa also has another son, and this is our title character of Arthur, played by James McAvery. So Arthur is just this big kid. He is a goofy, clumsy, kind of inept little fellow, but he is brimming with hope and optimism and naivete. It's a very infectious kind of character. Steve, on the other side, is very stern, takes himself a little too seriously. As Hugh Laurie says about the characters, he doesn't really have time for the fluffy and foo-foo feelings of Christmas. He's the one who kind of modernized the Santa Claus operation to be much more technology-driven. And anyway, so Slughorn Santa decides he's not going to turn the reins over. This, of course, causes friction. But in the midst of all that, it's discovered that due to a small mistake, one present didn't get delivered. And Arthur finds this completely unacceptable, that one child is not going to get a present from Santa, that child is gonna think Santa didn't come and Santa didn't care, and he can't handle that. So he teams up with Grand Santa, who's played by Bill Nighy, and they go out in the old sleigh to go and get this present to the kid before the sun rises. So it's this kind of race against time thing. So what makes this movie so wonderful? God, so many things. First of all, this is, again, one of the most original and fresh feeling Christmas stories in a very long time. The story is fresh and interesting. The characters are wonderful. I like that one of the things they tried to do with this film is kind of modernize the Santa Claus mythology. Like, if Santa was delivering toys today, what would that look like? We always see film representations of Santa Claus where they're still making toys with little hammers, and doing all that kind of stuff. So it's like, well, obviously he wouldn't be able to do that in the modern era. So what would, a modern Santa's workshop and Santa's operation, what would that look like? And it's a fascinating world that the filmmakers kind of come up with. And that's the other thing. This film is fascinating to look at. It is a very detailed world that they have come up with. Along with that, it is a frenetic movie. It has a fast-paced energy. Dialogue goes boom, 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 boom. Shots, cut very quickly. Things move very fast. This is a film that is made for rewatching. I watch this one every year because I love it so much. And every year I watch it, I see a little visual detail I didn't notice before or had forgotten about. I hear a piece of dialogue that I wasn't expecting. So, it's one that stays fresh even after multiple viewings because there's always something new going on. Kind of on the other side of that, it's a film that knows enough to know when to slow down and be quiet. This isn't a hyperactive movie. It's fast-paced and interesting when it needs to be, but when it needs to slow down and let the mood breathe, let the characters breathe, let emotions settle, it knows when to do that and holds it for just the right amount of time before picking up and continuing on with the kind of frantic energy. That's smart. That's clever that they know how to do this. I think the other thing that really makes this movie great is that the characters are some of the best characters, period. Not even animated. They're some of the best characters I've ever seen in a Christmas film. Because they're so multi-layered. They're real people. There's no villain in this film. There's no antagonist, really. Steve and Santa are putting up roadblocks for Arthur and whatnot, but it's not out of hatred or anger or anything like that. It's just they're coming at the world from very different points of view. This is a movie thematically about generations and about the differentiating point of views. There's 4 or 5 generations represented in this, with Grand Santa, regular Santa, Steve, and Arthur. So four generations and 4 points of view on the world and on their situation and on their lives. Steve doesn't want to kind of go and deliver this lost present. He's not doing that because he's a bad guy. He's doing it because mission's over, it's an oversight, happens in business, and we'll just do better next time. He's so caught up in the technology that he forgets the human element of it. But that doesn't make him a bad guy. Santa, Slughorn Santa, is not a bad guy because he doesn't want to retire and hand the reins over to Steve. He loves what he does, and he loves being loved, and he has a fear that if he gives up being Santa, he's just going to kind of fade away and no one's ever going to remember him again. And all the good he's done, he's going to have nothing, basically. Grand Santa is not a bad guy because he goes against everyone's wishes and does a foolish thing by taking the sleigh and Arthur out to go deliver this present. He's short-sighted. He wants to prove that he still matters. He wants to prove that his way still worked. He doesn't want to be a relic. So you understand all of these characters and why they are feeling the way they're feeling. And at the center of it, you have Arthur, who is, kind of like Captain America in his first movie, in that Captain America as a character doesn't change, but it's the other character's relationship to him that makes them change. And that's Arthur. Arthur has a few moments of self-doubt in this film when he kind of comes to realize that his father is not a perfect human being, and that the world doesn't quite work with magic and fairy dust. But he kind of shrugs that off relatively quickly and says, no, fuck that. We're going to get this present to this little girl come hell or high water. He doesn't say that, obviously. So his character doesn't necessarily change. He kind of realizes his potential because, again, he's a goof-off. Not a goof-off. He's goofy. He's clumsy. He's naive. So he kind of realizes his potential, but he doesn't really lose any of those character traits. He doesn't change, really. He just kind of acknowledges to himself, and everybody else acknowledges that he is, he's worthy of being Santa Claus. These are just great characters and great story. I haven't talked about, the other great character, Mrs. Claus. There's 2 other great characters. Mrs. Claus, who's played by Dolores Umbridge. I think Amelia Swinton is how you pronounce her name, but I'm always scared I'm going to say it wrong, so I just call her Dolores Umbridge. So Dolores Umbridge plays this lovely Mrs. Santa, just this lovely little doddering woman who's like so capable. She's holding the family together, and she's doing it all with a smile and a cookie. What I really like is her interaction with Slughorn Santa, who, when he's having self-doubt about, what he's going to be when he retires, and he says, what am I going to be? And she says, you'll be Malcolm. You'll be my Malcolm. You'll get to be with me. She's the heart and soul of the family. And there's this little elf, Brimey, and I cannot remember the actress who plays her, though I've seen her. She's on Extras with Ricky Gervais. This little gift wrapping elf who just talks so fast, and it's just a charming little character. The characters are great, and the cast is phenomenal. It's a great cast. Other thing I like about this movie, this is a weird thing for me to pick up on, and I think this is just a me thing. So again, thematically, one of the overarching themes of this film is My brain just went dead. Must be all the electricity. Must be all the electricity in here. Seriously, my brain just completely clicked off. I had a point. I was going to make a great point, and it just completely went out of my brain. So that's what happens when you do these things one cut, no script. Oh, anyway, maybe while I'm trying to think about it, anything I don't like about this movie? Honestly, no. No, there's honestly nothing. I can't say there's anything really I dislike. I guess when you have like a quest movie and you're kind of going off on misadventures, sometimes it feels like the misadventures are a little disconnected. But all in all, they come. I got it. I remember what I was saying. I remember what I was going to say. So let's see if I can get through this without forgetting. So one of the themes of this movie is, the technology and the need for it, and how vital technology is in this world to Santa doing his job and, completing his mission. But what Steve kind of has lost, and what Slughorn Santa has kind of lost a little sight of, is that you need the human element to make it work. You need the heart. If there's no heart, if there's no joy in it, then what does it matter how effectively the job is done? Okay, and that's kind of where Arthur comes in. He's the heart. So I find that interesting, that's kind of one of the core themes of this movie. And when I watch it, I see that portrayed in a way I don't think the filmmakers intended. Because this is a CGI movie. It's a gorgeous CGI movie, because most CGI movies are gorgeous, especially when they have a nice studio behind them. But here's the thing. I've always felt CGI movies are rather cold. It doesn't matter how good the animation is. I was just watching Moana the other night, and that's a gorgeous movie. But it just doesn't... The best CGI film doesn't have the warmth and the heart to me that a hand-drawn animated film has. I find CGI just very cold. I just do. Even when it's a movie I love, like this one. So this movie has kind of that hard CGI feel to it, but it also has this warmth to it, I think, from the very Britishness of it. It has this very lovely British Christmas, drink your tea, play with your Christmas cracker, kind of feel to it. And I think that's one, that it is British, so it has that. Just the wonderful cadences and richness of the voice actors that give with varying accents. So this, even in a visual and audio sense, it has that visual metaphor of the kind of cold, heartless but necessary thing of CGI, i.e. technology, but the warmth of the human factor, i.e. the Britishness of it. Again, I don't think the filmmakers had any intention of that happening, but in my opinion, it does. I just think this was a beautiful movie. It's so much fun. It's got such great energy, such great characters, and such a lovely little story. We all, maybe you haven't experienced it, and I know I've been told I'm an old man already, but you're gonna hit a time in life when you realize the world has changed, and it's not the world that you once knew. Sensibilities are different, technology is different, outlooks are different, the world is different, and you can't fight that, you can't stop it, it's gonna happen. And I think this film just very beautifully, without getting too much up on a soapbox, says that, yeah, you need to move on, and you need to adapt, and you need to be okay with how not just how the world is changing, but your place in it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you and the world that you came from are forgotten, or that they are without merit, or that they haven't made the new world possible, both in a good and bad way. And it's a film that's very hopeful about all that all of these elements can come together and, live in harmony, for, if you want to use a Christmas cliche. I really love this movie. I really do. And I wish more people were aware of it. So I hope that maybe I can help in some small way get this, the information about this movie out there, because it's a great little holiday film. And I think it deserves to take its place among the holiday classics and to be talked about in the conversation with White Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life, The Muppet Christmas Carol, Elf, and Die Hard. I think it deserves to be in that pantheon, and I hope that maybe I can help in some small way. So, if you have the time, check this one out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. So, that is all the time for me tonight. I hope everyone is having a safe and happy and healthy holiday season. And as always, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.